We are live.
Hey, David.
Hello. Yes, sir.
You can't make this shit up.
You just can't. You just can't. Hello again. Hey, we are trying something new. We are putting more content out for our community to engage, to get involved, and we welcome your feedback, your comments. Again, please go to our socials, spread the word, like, share, hit the notification button. Hey, Joel.
Hello. This is Joel Hoxley with Jay in Washington. And I am so happy that John is taking control of this stuff. Oh, I'm going to lose my voice soon. Hey, that drink was good. I needed a little bit of refreshment because what we're talking about today is just absolutely mind-blowing.
Let's hit it.
You can't make this shit up, can you?
You can't. Let's hit it.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh, if we keep looking to the side, it's because there's so much information that we have here that it's incredible.
Right.
So I guess as a Republican and being the super majority that we are,
Yes, sir.
we can crush this bill that we have in front of us. So this episode is about HB House Bill 191. And the name of the legislation is, let's see. Does it have the name on it?
Yes, it is the financial aid for female victims of rape, incest, domestic violence, or human trafficking.
It's amending Senate Bill 1009.25, Florida Senate, providing that certain low-income female students who are pregnant as a result of rape, incest, domestic violence, or human trafficking, and who decide to carry the pregnancy to term are exempt from paying specified post-secondary tuition and fees.
That's what we have.
And it's local, right? I mean, it's a state bill, House bill, but it's local, right? It's one of our own.
That would be Representative Joanna Lopez. She is representing, give me a moment here, House District 43, which is East Orange. It's a district that is, if I remember correctly, a majority Democrat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it tends to favor the Latino demographic.
Yeah, it did before it even was redrawn. It's the primary, female, Latino, Latina, or whatever. That's what's coming out of there. And, that's one of the things that here at Jay in Washington, one of the big things we look at is getting you the representative that you're supposed to have. And we really try to look at the demographics. So this would have been something David would be handling in our office because it's definitely leans to the left. We would look for a candidate that wants to run in this district, and we would evaluate them for several different things, but just make sure that they're winnable. Because if they're not winnable and they can't bring your message to Tallahassee, then we're not into that. So we that's what bringing America together again, and all these entities that we have here are for. But you can't make this shit up because I'm like amazed. So I look at this bill, and the first thing that pops out to me, David, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
But do men get raped, incest, domestic violence?
They sure do.
So why does this bill say female? Okay, because females are the only ones that, I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm saying like this is getting under my skin.
Sure.
Why does it say female? Because just like breast cancer, we forget men get that too.
That's correct.
So Joanna, let me say to your face, if I could,
let's be nice.
What you can't make this shit up. Why did you choose this to be your first bill?
And she's supported by Javante Tay Edmonds, House District 88 out of Palm Beach. Catherine Waldron, House District 92, Palm Beach.
Right.
And Democrat Ashley Gant, Gantt,
Mhm.
House District 109, Miami Dade, parts of Miami Dade. Those are the co sponsors of this particular bill. And
Wow, South Florida.
yes, sir. And I'm kind of, I'm concerned about this bill for similar reasons. And also the fact that I see this as more government overreach that
David,
we've been talking about.
David, this is where we win.
Mm-hmm.
Bills like this, and I think when we talk about stuff like that, when we lose, I'll tell you how we lost too. But this, I think you agree with me, unfortunately, that for your side, that this is what gives you that image that you got to shed in the state of Florida. And as long as I can use, as long as I can use that against you, then guess what? I just have to bring up legislation like this and say, well, you're socialist or you're communist, you know?
And this would be the tag that Representative Lopez, Edmonds, Waldron, Gant will get socialism. And this is something that Democrats are trying to move away from. But when you have bills like this about, more government involvement, and the cause is good, I get it.
Oh, absolutely. The cause is good.
I get it. However, more government spending to a particular demographic, it makes you think, okay, all right, we may have special interests here, we may have special interests there. How many more special interests are going to be favored by government laws like this, where we're all segregated into these special interests and not seen as just as a group of citizens, and laws affecting the majority of the citizens, all of our citizens, instead of just a select group?
You do know, okay, I want the audience to know that most of the time, you and I will not communicate a lot on these bills,
Correct.
right? Or any topic we take our own look at it and we kind of go into it like that. So this one, I'm looking at it and pops out with the female, but I also look at it in the light that I'm feeling like, how do you identify? Why would you put them through that kind of? They've been raped, they've been, they've been harmed already.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you identify? How do you separate? How do you give somebody money in this category without them being exposed? A HIPAA all over this thing, and
That's
I'm
a
not
good
thinking,
point.
and I'm not, again, I'm not a woman, so I have no perception of, how an Addison would have, Addison Rich would look at this, but I'm I'm appalled that somebody would have to. They should be protected,
Mm-hmm.
and this bill certainly doesn't protect them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it assists them, but it doesn't protect them.
Right.
It doesn't shield them from the the pain that they went through.
And this is a touchy issue. I get it. It's a touchy issue. However, more it exposes that particular person or this group of individuals to more scrutiny of their private lives.
Exactly.
And I want to say incentivize. No,
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
that's a Republican thing. Would say, wouldn't this incentivize the fact that they would grape
right.
women?
I just see.
Hey, please grape me because I want to get this program. No, I'm being facetious.
Right.
But
I just see so many
issues.
loose ends here, so many issues, and just making more public a very harmful, awful situation.
Well, David, I hate to leave the bill for a second, and I'm going to come right back to it. But you know my relationship with my representative,
Mhm.
Representative Smith.
Mhm.
Now, David Smith and I don't always agree, but we're both veterans, so we have a lot of stuff that goes on. He introduced legislation that I was I was totally against.
Vehemently.
And David, I never voiced it to him because it never passed, but it never got out of the gate because it was called, you have an amber alert, you have a
Correct.
silver alert, you're going to have a camo alert,
Mhm.
and I thought how this could be abused. You know, you're having a domestic violence situation, you're having a fight, you walk out, you leave, your your other person that's having the fight with you turns you in and says, I think he's going to commit suicide.
Mhm.
He's got post-traumatic stress disorder. And all of a sudden you're plastered all over the state because they're looking for you.
Mhm.
And it's false.
Mhm.
But you're going to be treated as though you are suicidal. You're going to be treated that way because one individual, not a group or of people. And he said the veterans support this. And every veteran I talked to was like, holy crap, that's dangerous.
Mhm.
This is dangerous. This
Mhm.
is what I see. This is the same type of legislation.
Mhm.
You're exposing somebody, or it can be used in a very negative way.
Right.
And I don't want to say that somebody might report that they were raped and not be raped, and somebody goes to jail and all this other stuff because it's evil. I mean, this would be real extreme. They want to go to school. I mean, that's a negative, but you have to take into consideration this shit happens,
Right.
and you can't make this shit up.
Mhm.
There are people that are deranged like that. So again, you're right. I think there's a lot of loose ends, good intention,
Good intentions.
but I think this is a terrible bill. And if I were you out there, I would probably be saying, let's get HB 191 to not get out of committee or to be re-looked at.
Correct.
So, I mean, that's all I can say is, you know, Representative Lopez has a good heart. I've met her.
Yes.
I've had conversations with her. I may not agree with her politically, but I thought, yeah, she's the right person for this district.
Mhm.
But this legislation, I would definitely call her up and say, yeah, this doesn't represent your community. It doesn't represent our state. It has too many scary. It's a scary bill.
I agree. I again, the overreach is concerning. I believe the resources can go into more preventive education and efforts, advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this just doesn't rest well. Again, the intentions are good. I get it. However, the outcome it just doesn't sit well with me. What this bill will create, and for transparency, the Cochrane partners, the lobbying firm,
Mm-hmm.
they are lobbying the legislature on behalf of the Florida Partnership to End Domestic Violence, an umbrella group that hopes to bring transparency to the funding apparatus or the funding and advocacy. Well, the Florida Partnership to End Domestic Violence is a new membership based partnership. It began in 2022. It's a nonprofit 501c3
Right.
formed by certified domestic violence centers in the state of Florida.
This is really
Their mission is to eliminate domestic violence by promoting safe families and communities through empowerment-based advocacy, providing technical assistance to centers and providers, and engaging in systems of social change. They're positioned to become Florida's new federally recognized domestic violence coalition with an inclusive, diverse membership and service model upholding the highest ethical standards for fiscal accountability and program effectiveness serving women, men, children who are survivors of domestic violence in every Florida county.
Okay, well, they in this bill they shouldn't like because it doesn't cover the others. It just covers one. But I guess it's a step in the right direction. And I mean, they've been established for so long.
Mhm.
I mean, they must be like this a really incredible place because I mean, they've been in place for how many months?
July 2020.
Well, did I say years or months? No, months. I said months. Look at me. I said months. If you have an organization that's been open for months, we have a problem. And if you're not looking at it that way, even David, because David and I were skeptical, we'll
Yes.
call our people out. I mean, Republicans, Democrats, this stinks.
July 2020. I'm sorry.
Well, 2020, but still, it's
but
still new.
Yeah, it's still new.
And I see they're attached to some stuff. And Illinois wants to do something down here. Just move down. I mean, come on, move. I think it's funny. Like Illinois, we're an organization in Illinois. We want to help. That's like, hey, I want this bill passed in Florida, and I'm going to send it from California.
Right. And I agree. You know, instead of just female victims, let's look at all victims of rape, incest, domestic violence, incest. Let's look at everyone.
Yeah.
Because again, boys and men are also victims of those situations.
Okay, we just had this conversation. I think if we don't bring this up in every single one of our conversations, our conversation's not like political and it's equal versus fair. This legislation is not equal and is not fair. If it doesn't even do those two things,
right,
then it's a bad legislation. Because either you're trying to get equality or you're trying to get fairness,
right,
a level playing field. So again, if our legislators were to look at it like you would look at it that way,
correct.
like, what is it purpose? Is it equal and fair? And I think even if it is not, it has to be one or the other.
Right.
And I think that's where politically this one drops the ball.
All right.
So
I think we're in agreement.
Well, we're in agreement, but I don't think we're going to kill this bill. I think it's just not going to get out of committee because no Democrat bill is going to get out.
Not with a supermajority Republican legislature. Republicans dominating the committees, subcommittees, whatever.
DeSantis can get anything he wants done, and they did. Just like we spoke about Reedy Creek. We'll talk about things because absolutely you need to have your eyes open. In local politics, there are a ton of things that are happening that you have no clue. How many people even knew that these committees were meeting prior to March when they have to go up into session?
Right.
How many people know, hey, they're in a special session for X, Y, and Z? We have special sessions for some of the craziest things. So I love this legislator. I just don't love this legislation. So I think unless somebody out there wants to address something else, I'd like to have her on the show. I'd like to hear why,
she's on our guest list.
I know I don't want to scare her off. I think she's a wonderful person, but I just want to kind of, why is this your first legislation?
Right.
It's always curious because I always wonder, is it just the only thing you thought you?
Well, we looked at her contributors to her campaign.
That's what we like to do. So, David, I appreciate you bringing this one to my attention and sharing this with me. John, thank you for, being our producer and keeping us on track.
We're going to do this once in a while. We have, you can't make this shit up, our long form discussion, broadcast, podcast, and we're going to do some of these shorter
segments.
Exactly.
That's the word you're looking for.
Exactly.
See, this is why David and I work together, because he helps put things back in my head.
Right.
And like all those names I don't know, he knows all the names, and I'll help him. Like he just helped me with that word. I couldn't say. It's tricky, but I I'm glad to be here and have a chance to talk about this bill and other things with our community.
Excellent.
So, what do you have to say? Thank you very much for tuning in.
Yeah, you
And
can't make, this, shit up.
this shit up.
That's right. Thank you, everyone. Like, share, hit the notification button, join our community, go to our socials. Hey, give us a shout out.
Subscribe, do whatever you can, but be part of our family, be part of our team. Watch us and talk to us because we want to hear from you.
Talk to you soon.